General sponsors of the broadcast: Mogo, a universal credit company; T-Buy, a second-generation marketplace.
Hi, I'm Armen, and in the second part of our film we are going to unleash secrets of the Armenian IT industry. We have talked to many leading professionals and founders of giant technological companies and startups as well. We are going to talk about the impact of technologies on our routine life, the problems and achievements of the Armenian IT segment, the advantages of working in the IT industry, and how to be successful in it. Have a nice watch.
What can prepare a person to become successful in entrepreneurship is the ability to hear refusals. The relationship between Armenians and the word no is just terrible. You have to be prepared for the fact that however enthusiastic and passionate you are towards your idea and you tell 100 people about it, 97 of them will tell you to quit it and do something more serious. I think it is very important to have the vision of what you want to change and have the bravery to do that. One of the main things is not to give up. At the moment you want to give up, you will lose it all. Learning all the time, educating yourself is not a way to solve a problem. You can study and become a theoretician, a scientist, and do research. That is also problem solving, but when you only learn and study and become a scientist, you solve scientific problems. It's good to learn all the time, but it's not enough. You have to start asking questions. As soon as you ask why has this been created, you will start looking for the solution. You want to know the answer. You will eventually reach somewhere where there is no answer. And that's when innovation starts. You can become successful if you don't give up. You have to go forward knowing that you will always be making mistakes. But you have to do it. You have to learn, make errors, and there will be more errors than successes. Hence, the only way is just to keep doing it.
If you want to be an entrepreneur, it's just like leaving room in your brain to think creatively. Like having time so that when you get in the shower, that interesting thing pops into your head, not the spreadsheet that you were thinking about yesterday. Being well read, having interesting conversations, making time to have coffee with friends, like making time to see what's going on in the world. And if your brain is rested, if your brain has all these interesting inputs, something will spark in there of just like, that's the thing I want to go fix.
School is the most important. People have to go to schools and study. We're lucky we have 2 more here. Armenians can start early at a very young age, before they get to universities. Also, we have a need for PhDs. The most important thing is self-consciousness. The world is a value as itself, so it's important to be self-conscious, to keep studying and maintain a positive relationship with people. We depend on each other. It's not like an individual can lock himself in a room and create something on his own, especially in this field, so it's a teamwork. Technology is everywhere, in medicine, in science, in fashion, everywhere. Each profession can find its own place. Another question is, which profession is more in demand? There's a stereotype that only programmers work in IT, but that's not true. There are a lot of other professions in IT. Programmers, product developers, very specific DMARC engineers, security specialists, sales representatives who our customers refer to as our assistants. They are not people who sell things, they assist in solving issues of customers. Starting from a person that makes sure we have enough coffee, up to the person who helps us with our bookkeeping, they all have a very important role. For instance, I can't do bookkeeping like a person who has been doing it for 10 years already. More and more we feel the need of marketing specialists, product specialists, brand specialists. We need specialists who know how to serve people on a high level, and they make the company complete. And the bigger the company, the smaller the amount of technological workers.
You know, when I was developing my former business, I felt that there are very few UI UX designers in Armenia, and I mostly hired foreign designers. And my inner motivation was the fact that the Armenian ecosystem of startups lacked an experienced and trustworthy design partner of an international level who could help the startups to grow.
There's about 180 employees in CRISP at the moment. As I mentioned, they're all over the world, but 90% of them are in Armenia. We have engineers that develop software. We have scientific researchers that work with artificial intelligence. We may say they do science and create technologies that do not exist in the world yet. Tech Week was held in Gyumri, and I took part in a panel discussion, and the title was "There are not only programmers in IT," and I totally share that idea.
If you're sitting in Armenia today and wondering where to start, I can tell you a couple of places. Number one, every Armenian in technology in San Francisco is usually willing to give you time. Cold email somebody. Ask them, hey, I'm thinking about getting into this field. I saw you invest in it or you work in it. Come prepared with questions. Ask them for 30 minutes of their time. I think you'd be surprised by how many people say yes. Second, the internet has so much information. I mean, Y Combinator, which I mentioned, they've basically open sourced all of their knowledge. So if you want to know how much should I raise in my seed round, or who are angel investors that I should talk to, all of this is available with one message on LinkedIn. And so I think, it's important to feel empowered and to take access of just the power of the internet to connect those dots.
Without leaving Armenia, any person can take a course of any of the best world-famous universities for free. The best way and the shortest way to change anything in today's world is technology. I think if you want to motivate young people to go into the IT field, you have to develop it first. First comes the educational part. But as we already have a very rapidly growing IT environment in Armenia, we have to change the mentality now. People have to start creating products, large-scale products, global products. You have to change the mentality from working by order for other people to creating products in Armenia for the whole world. It's important to understand that there is nothing impossible. Everything is possible. If it is not against the laws of physics, then it is possible.
What I would say to everyone is mostly just look around with your eyes wide open. Listen to your friends, listen to your community. You'll hear 100 problems tomorrow. So what do you have passion for? That's the thing you should go fix.
I would say start small, start local. So if I'm in Armenia or if I'm in Yerevan today, there's many ways you could get involved. You could do things that impacts the local economy, could be impacting the local environment. There's many ways. Again, but it has to be something that you relate to it. If you relate to your local community, that impacts area that they care for. It has to be something you care for. If you don't care for it, it doesn't matter what you do.
Being a student is a huge advantage because you're in the phase of your life when you are intelligent enough to see what's going on around you, to understand what solutions you can offer, and you already have some ideas. But at the same time, you are quite free, and it's the right time to create something of your own. All you need to start working is a notebook and internet access, and you're good to go impacting the world. I think anywhere and anything that we interact with during the day, when we see that something takes long, we can improve it, we can optimize it, we can achieve a better quality. Almost always there's a technological solution, and you can always choose something which relates to you. For example, if someone has been in the real estate industry, he can create a related technological company. If someone has good knowledge of transportation, he can create a technological company in the field of transportation. And it's not like it has to be solely a technological company.
We were developing the product from 2015 to 2020. Without any outside investment, we reached a point from the ground which invoked the interest of a large mobile app developing company from the US. As a result, we sold our product. And I founded 2 more companies after that. One of them is Flexi, which is working in the UI/UX design industry.
As you know, the language of technology today is English, and wherever you live in the world, be it in China or in Russia, the language is English, so it is imperative to know English well, because whether you communicate with your employees, your clients or other people, you do it in English. And communication is very important too. It's not only about knowing the language, it's about presenting yourself and your ideas. We may say you are always in need of selling your ideas. Somebody makes a good video and 5 million people download it. And when 5 million people download the video, the author gains reputation. It's just one example. And the number of downloads and the reputation this 16 years old or 12 years old kid has gained attract advertisers who reach out to him and ask him to talk about them. Let's start with mathematics, as it gives superpowers to people. Engineers can have a huge impact on the world. Who is an engineer in general? It's a person who is capable of not only solving a problem, but who also tries to understand the problem. He asks questions, and he has a different attitude to the problems. And a more advanced version is the engineer who understands what impact his solution has had. And it's a long way to become an engineer, to become a person who understands systems, who understands how the basic principles interact with each other, and not only in technology, but in human relations as well, because there is no company with only one person in it. I think there are a lot of sources of motivation for youngsters. There are examples of Crisp, Pixart, and others. They motivate a lot, I guess. Had I seen such examples when I was young, and which are Armenian companies, I'd get motivated a lot. And I think people like me are still getting motivated by that. But there are various sources of motivation. The most obvious is, of course, the salaries are very high. High wages, an opportunity to live abroad, an opportunity to travel, guarantees of good education for your children, and a lot of other benefits. Usually in the technology world, you are dealing with unknowns. Hence, while working with unknowns, you may come across gold mines, which humanity hasn't known yet. For example, Tesla or SpaceX, these are companies on the verge of the unknown. And those who work there get huge salaries, and those who hold shares of these companies get huge dividends. We are a country with a small population, but we are obliged to create something big to solve our problems. And the field of technology is one of those few industries where the solution created by an individual, by one person, has a huge value. We are creating the technology which will allow people to find repeating patterns in their routine work, something they are doing repetitively, and automate them. You can buy a lot of things, but you can't buy time. And we give people time which they can spend with their families, or for their health, or for some creativity. The vision of the future is that all the robots and self-driving cars will enter our everyday life, and those robots are going to collect a lot of data. So we're creating a layer to effectively store that data. Some time ago, it was possible to create a cloud only for the huge companies, because it required a very complicated technology. And we're creating a technology which allows an average company in need to create a private cloud without reinventing the wheel. I wish to create something of our own which will not only make us equal to others, but will make it clear that this is the weapon. Trust me, that's the kind of weapon that nobody will try to cross the Armenian borders. TBI is going to make a revolution in the IT and non-IT fields worldwide. When the pandemic started in 2020, and because of COVID schools were closed, and people stayed at their homes, we benefited from that, in fact. It all started in India. Teachers were holding Zoom conferences with 40 students and were unable to draw their attention, because it's hard to keep 40 students active even in the classroom. So one of the teachers accidentally comes across our Lupa and creates content using AR. The teacher goes live on Zoom and shares his screen, and students see planets swirling around the teacher. You can imagine their surprise when they see their teacher become a Hollywood effects master. And he says, "Today we're having an astronomy class in this format." And he gains popularity and makes video classes with AR using the content in our application, and he shares it. Various TVs in India cover this story. They talk about that teacher who has made innovative steps in teaching, that students learn better this way, they get more engaged in topics. And then other teachers from other countries use the same technology. They give tasks to students to create video content using AR and Lupa and share it with their classmates. So next to those useless TikTok videos, educational content has appeared on the net, which people create through Lupa. We just found a way to talk to the new generation in their own language. When we succeed in what we do, any person on the planet will be buying whatever he wants much cheaper.
My work right now is how do we fix the immigration space in the United States? How do we, like some of the best companies in the United States were built by immigrants. Like we have a broken immigration policy. How do we fix it? How do we fix education in the United States? Like we have 12 years of public school, but then people are still chasing bachelor's, master's, and PhDs in order to get to the industry. Like, why wasn't 12 years good enough? Like, how do we make that more efficient and more effective for kids in the United States? Because imagine if we did that, and then you did 4 more years of college, that could be amazing.
We make the lives of our children and grandchildren and young Armenians easier. I don't mean that we had harder lives, but we'd like to make it easier for our young ones. Only then I can say I've done my job. Many people have big dreams, and I hope that my work will help them. My work will change the world when I create something good every day. Today I'm working in the field of microelectronics. Microelectronics is the spine of technology. Whatever you see in technology, whatever tools you have, whatever equipment you have, all is based on chips. The spine are the chips. If we are unable to install the necessary speed or the necessary complications and solutions in those chips, if we do not secure the artificial intelligence through those chips, artificial intelligence has existed for 50 years, but it hasn't been used. Why are we able to use it today? Because the chips started having enough speed, and artificial intelligence has developed rapidly.
We build special kinds of computers. They can do the extreme amounts of math, essentially supercomputers that fit on a chip that we can then scale up to whole data centers. We now have the ability to simulate worlds, to simulate things inside worlds that were previously impossible. We can simulate things like how climate evolves. We can simulate how a factory will perform. The machines that we built let us time travel into the future, into many futures, and choose the best one. We help build vaccines, including the ones that were created for COVID. Help build robots. We help design buildings and bridges. We help design airplanes. We are building self-driving cars. We can avoid climate catastrophes to minimize the danger to human beings.
Our team has helped thousands of children to be more happy during their treatment. We've created a product which helps thousands of people, and it's not an exaggeration. Hundreds of children communicate with Robin daily, regardless of where they are, in hospitals, in clinics. Robin is always with them, and it helps them be happier and well. I think that's the biggest achievement for us.
I'm hoping that one way to dramatically accelerate that is to bring in computers and AI and physics to accelerate that process that otherwise is very slow and has been slow last few decades. My work in Biosim is focused on that problem, which is, can we come up with new generation of algorithms and software in computational drug discovery that will dramatically accelerate finding cures for difficult diseases. We don't have to wait 100 years, but maybe tens of years to tackle at least major societal diseases like Alzheimer's or some difficult cancers.
We help people, patients in the United States who have to deal with financial aspect of a healthcare in America. We help them go through this experience in a more transparent, more convenient way. And we've recently billed 1 million patients in the US, and we're getting everyday feedback from real people like, this is finally the experience I want to have. So I do think that we affect the lives of ordinary citizens on a daily basis, and that's what definitely makes us all proud and happy.
Our goal is to decrease the time spent on machine learning experiments. As a result, the speed of creating models with artificial intelligence will increase, hence making artificial intelligence quicker and more enhanced.
Funding and angel investing also helps other people with the great ideas to come to the market and be able to compete in this global market. So I think there are many ways we can impact the businesses in Armenia, and my involvement also can contribute a small portion to funding, to mentorship, and even taking advantage of some of the talent and technology talent that I could just bring into my business and use. So
we were building a platform to help photographers, kind of semi or pro photographers to basically help them sell their content more easily. More than 100,000 creators have already joined Wirestock. Anyone who can shoot interesting content, even with their smartphone, can benefit from Wirestock, right?
When I talk about Wirestock, people take it positively and with interest. Because what we do is help photographers and visual content creators to easily sell their content. We generally help sell the content. Well, it's not like our users make a living with that. It's just motivating that, for example, Reebok has bought their photo and used it in their commercial. It's more of a question of recognition. And it's very pleasing that we do something so positive. And hundreds of thousands of creators are using the platform. The projects we have completed have changed some people's lives. For example, the 7th Startup Summit was organized for one and only goal. I didn't want to have even one young person in Armenia who could say that he had great ideas and a team but had no platform to advance. Many women in IT have started their careers motivated from my experience, which is very important to me. There were cases when I was at some event with my child, a tech event, like bar camping or something else, and somebody approached me and said, "Oh, so it is possible. I have to review my personal decisions." I'm confident that effective educational processes of TUMO and the fact that it is not only for A students but for wider social groups is going to change the world. It can secure the next economic revolution. The best way to change the world is to find what you can do the best, where you can create the biggest value, and to aim to do everything to make it come true. We are trying to help our clients, our customers make better products, more precisely create better experiences. Fundamentally, I'd like to develop people to empower them to change the world. There's a stereotype in Armenia when people don't like speaking about money. They think money is evil, and that people who only speak about money have negative thoughts. But I think that it's better to view money as a metric. I mean, you can evaluate various things, see how big the impact is using money as a metric. So, to change the world for the better, I think it's good to know how much money, the values you've created, the product you've created, the company you've created generates, or how much income it has, or how many vacancies it has provided. The main impact I have always tried to have was aimed towards Armenia. I have done this with all my heart and with my arms wide open. I have given my knowledge as much as I could so that people could realize they are the ones to build the country.
Well, I can only add that technologies have become an inseparable part of our lives. It's hard to imagine a modern person without mobile phones or other gadgets, electric cars or robot vacuum cleaners, and even without artificial intelligence. But we have found out that Armenia has its important role in the Olympus of the international IT industry. If it is governed correctly and developed smartly, IT will give Armenia a chance to become one of the most attractive countries in the world. This documentary is our first step towards developing the IT industry. For your information, we have interviewed more than 50 people, many of whom are founders of large or C-level companies. Others are startups that definitely have a bright future. Moreover, I have to say that we were unable to include all the companies in this film, but these are only the first steps. We'll keep going and doing all we can to make Armenia a new Silicon Valley. During the year of filming, many new companies were founded in Armenia, and the existing ones have made new achievements, which we will definitely cover.
General sponsors of the broadcast: T-Buy, a second-generation marketplace. Mogo, a universal credit company.
Այս գովազդի տևողությունը 30 վայրկյան է։ Մոգոյում վարկ վերցնելը ընդամենը 30 րոպե։ Ծանոթացեք։ Դիանան on-line լրացնում է հայտը, համակարգը ստուգում է վարկային պատմությունը եւ եկամուտները։ Մոգոյի աշխատակիցները գնահատում են գրավադրվող մեքենան ու վերջ։ Դուք արդեն ունեք ձեզ անհրաժեշտ գումարը։ Շնորհավորում եմ։ Արի Մոգո։